Bethany Davidson, and welcome to another episode of Pet Pals. We are excited to showcase some of our adoptable animals for you today. And the first one with our animal wrangler and volunteer coordinator. You have other duties, right? With Sean Snyder here is Jojo. And Jojo is one of the many senior cats we have on the adoption floor right now. We're getting into the spring, so we are slowly starting to see some younger cats arrive on the adoption floor, but we do have a handful of older guys and gals, and Jojo is one of those. She's about 6 to 8 years old, somewhere in that estimation, and she is super friendly. It's surprising that more people haven't decided they want to make her part of their family, because she's right at the front of her cage. She's actively asking for attention. She's, that cat that is rubbing on the bars and reaching out for you and vocalizing that she wants attention. And then once you open the cage, she's like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Give me more. And she's content to stay there as long as you want to pet her. While we have a history of her previously with us, because she was unfortunately adopted and returned, we noted that she wasn't really a huge fan of being picked up. But when I picked her up today, she was like, oh, this is what we're doing. Okay, we're going to cuddle. And she started purring and making biscuits on my chest. And as you can see, perfectly content to be a little lap cat as well. She has a lot of really great qualities. And she has previously lived with another cat. So if you're, a lot of people who are looking to adopt cats have multi-cat households. And so she should hopefully do well in that environment also.
So she's one of a few cats we have with a special medical condition. What's that condition?
So Jojo is being treated for hyperthyroid. It's not uncommon. In fact, I used to have a cat that had a thyroid condition. Many of our staff have dealt with that in the past. And it's, there are a variety of ways that you can treat it, but we simply treat it by giving Jojo a pill every day. And she takes it pretty nicely without any issue. And it's, simple. Every day she gets a pill. But we do have, our vet has examined her, and we do have a lengthy kind of vet note that describes it a little bit more, the condition, the different treatment possibilities, things like that. And anytime we have an animal with a medical condition, if you're thinking of adopting that animal and you're feeling a little bit unsure, you want some more information, we can always set up an opportunity for you to discuss that with our veterinarian or someone else from our medical staff. And we can always provide the vet notes and all of the medical records that we have so that you can take it to your vet and talk to the person that you trust with your animal's care about whether or not that's something that you can maintain or not. But all in all, the expectation is that Jojo will, live a long, happy, normal, cat life. And she's going to be a great addition to any household. We don't have any restrictions on the types of, kids she can be around. And, she's super easygoing, because this is kind of stressful. And she's just sitting there, slow blinking at me as I look over at her. So she's going to be, hopefully a cat that adjusts very quickly. And if you want that adjustment to quickly happen in your home, the first step is going to be going to visit fcac.as.me to book an appointment to meet Jojo. The first dog we have for you today is actually our youngest dog on the adoption floor right now. This is Bunny, and she is about 4 months old. And Bunny was found running as a stray with one of our other adoptable dogs, another young guy named Hopper. Obviously, as strays, we named them because Easter is upcoming. So they became Bunny and Hopper. But because Bunny is so young at just 4 months, we don't have a behavior assessment on her, things like that in her profile, because when animals are that young, their behavior is not really set at all. So it would be kind of, irrelevant as she's changing and growing and becoming more of who she is. We typically don't do behavior assessments on dogs or cats for that matter until they're about 6 months old. But in all the things that we've seen right now, Bunny is your typical puppy. She doesn't really know very much. She's definitely not house trained, but she is very friendly. Obviously, because she, decided to pick up and hang out with Hopper. She is very, dog social, does well with other dogs. She's very playful, very affectionate, wants to crawl on everybody's lap and lick all over everybody. Those are all really good qualities, but we have to continue to reinforce those things with Bunny. We want to make sure that she's going to stay properly socialized, both with humans and with other dogs, and that she's going to learn some good manners, because while, she's, under 40 pounds now, she's 4 months old. She's going to be a big girl. So you want to make sure that she has those good manners established so that as she gets older, she's going to be more manageable and behave appropriately so that she can continue to be the good, friendly dog that we are seeing here at this young age.
As you stated, she's friendly, but some of our staff feel she may not be the best fit for a first-time dog owner. Why is that?
Well, that has a lot to do with her breed. She is an Akita mix, and I don't know a lot about the breed, but they were described to me as the Huskies of Japan. They can be a very friendly dog, a very protective and loyal dog. They can also be very headstrong and stubborn, which means they can be a little bit difficult to train. Because if they don't want to do something, sometimes they just won't do it. But also because they can have that protective, they're bonding very well with their family. But if they're not properly socialized at a young age and maintain that with other people, not just their family units and other dogs, then they can become less tolerant of strangers and both of humans and dogs. So if you're not used to the breed, you're not used to working with animals that are a little bit more less inclined to please their owners, you're not prepared to do all of that socialization, all of these great qualities that we're seeing in Bunny as a young dog may start to dissipate as she gets older and a little bit more challenging. So we want to make sure that she's going to end up with a family that's going to be able to maintain the fun, playful, temperament and personality that she has now. But any dog that you're going to get is going to require some training, things like that. But when you get a dog this young, obviously you're going to have to do it all from scratch. They don't have any basics yet. If you feel like the breed and just the general desire to have a puppy, basically a baby, right, in your house, is going to be something that you're looking for, then the first step is going to be going to visit fcac.as.me to book that appointment to meet with Bunny. Continuing our streak of slightly more exotic dogs for us, right? We have Demi, and she is a Weimaraner mix. So a beautiful dog, not something that we get a lot in here. We're used to our hounds, our pit bull type dogs, and our various shepherd and lab mixes. So it's nice to get something a little bit more unusual. And it's just surprising that people haven't seen what breed she is and haven't looked at her more. She's a young dog at just about a year old. She is beautiful and incredibly smart. She knows way more commands than any of the other dogs on the floor. I'm pretty sure she obviously knows sit, she knows down. There's a handful of other things that I can't even remember at this point, because I don't know that they're written in a place that's easily accessible for me right now. But she has a ton of cues, super smart, very food motivated, very playful. She's just going to be a joy for the right family. But we do have, some things that we want to make sure that people are aware of. We're not looking for small children to be in a home with Demi, because she can be a little bit nervous, a little bit shy. And sometimes, it's not that they're trying to be, but, younger kids can be very loud. They can be, a lot of fast movements, maybe not super respectful of a dog that doesn't want to be loved on or hugged, or, knowing when they are ready to be left alone, things like that. So we don't want to set up anybody for failure. Also, Demi has been known to be a little bit vocal. So just kind of keeping in mind that she can be a little bit loud. But otherwise, she is a super friendly, affectionate dog. She sometimes reacts negatively to the other dogs in the kennel, but I don't think they've necessarily mentioned that they've had any issues with her outside. A lot of dogs don't love the other dogs in the kennel. They like to trash talk a little bit, like, I'm going out and you're not. Have fun staying inside. But all things to work on. If you have an existing dog in your household, it's really important to make sure that we do those meet and greets to make sure it's going to be a good fit.
So Demi was training to be a service dog.
Correct.
Why didn't she make the cut?
So one word, anxiety, right? So right now, Demi is on quite a few medications. We have her on some gabapentin to help her kind of settle in. She's also on a supplement that's commonly used called L-theanine that can kind of help take that edge off. She was just too nervous around other dogs and going into new environments and being around new people. And as a service dog, that's your job. You have to go into all of these different places. And it was a little bit too overwhelming for her. So she's better suited for the lifestyle of a pet that can stay at home, maybe go to the park, but not being forced to go into loud and noisy and busy places all the time to do a job. But that doesn't diminish, how great she's going to be in a household. Just needs a family to understand that she does take some time to warm up, settle in, and that she might not be able to go to the brewery with you on the weekend. She might prefer to stay at the house and wait for you to get back. And that she may or may not need to be on some sort of, medication to take that edge off for her long term. So just being prepared for those things. But otherwise, she's a wonderful dog, and is going to make a great companion. If you want her to be your companion, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. Our next dog we have listed as an Akita mix as well, although a little bit more mixed than maybe Bunny is. There's been some guesses as to what Estrella is mixed with. Husky's been thrown in there, a variety of other things. But when we're making those judgments, we base it on what we see, but also like sometimes there will be like behavioral quirks that are specific to certain breeds that we'll use to make those assessments. But it is always just a judgment call, because a lot of our dogs come to us, much like Estrella did, as strays. So we don't have a history, and unfortunately they're not talking, right? So we do make, those judgment calls. We're also using, our judgment based on and making estimated, good guesses on their age, looking at their teeth, their body condition, and we have Estrella down as approximately a year old. As you can see, she's very food motivated, and she does have some, basics down like sit, which is always a good thing for your dog to learn. She also knows paw, which a lot of people like to teach their dog. She is very playful. She is incredibly energetic. But she does have some things that she needs to work on, just overall good manners. And she is known for being a little bit mouthy. And so if you're not a dog person, sometimes you don't know what that means. And it just means that they like to put their mouth on things that they shouldn't, right? They like to nibble at your hands. And it's not necessarily an aggressive thing. They're just like overstimulated, and they're like, what's this? And, sometimes they'll treat your hands like toys and things like that. So we've noticed that she can be a little bit mouthy. Also not a huge fan of things like restraint, things like that. So she just needs to learn those basics. So she needs a family that's definitely going to establish, structure and make sure she's going to get the proper training, and that she's not just allowed to kind of do whatever she wants. That she has some rules and things set for her. She has done well with the other dogs, walking by them, which is a good thing as well. But again, if you have that multi-pet household, you are required to bring your dog in here to do a meet and greet. We do it outside. We do it in a very structured way to see if your dog and the dog that you're interested in making part of your family can kind of peacefully coexist, at least with a little bit of work. But if it's not great at all, we're going to encourage you to maybe choose a different dog that's going to be more suitable to your family.
So Estrella is one of several dogs we have recommended for families with teens or adults. Why is that?
So sometimes it's just because we know, hey, that dog hates children, like with Luna. Luna does not like children. Other times, like with Evan, it's because he has a visual impairment that we don't want young kids to startle him because he can't see in certain areas. But with Estrella here, it's because she really has a strong dislike for restraint. Some kids will like to hug and lay on their dog. She's not going to enjoy that. We don't want any negative issues as a result of that. She's also very mouthy. Sometimes younger kids their skin can be a little bit more sensitive. There might be some bites and things like that. If that escalates, she can also be a little bit nervous at first. When she first came in, she was definitely very unsure. So the loud noises, fast movements could be a factor. And just her energy level, she's gonna probably knock some kids over. So we want somebody in her household, in her family, that all the ages can kind of read dog body language, know when she's feeling nervous, when to back away, know when she's starting to get hyper aroused, and de-escalate that situation so that her mouthiness doesn't increase and escalate. Those are things that can happen with any dog, but when we notice those things, we want to make those recommendations so that the animals and the families can be safe and happy. It's not something that she couldn't work on and that could dissipate, but we want to make sure we're setting everybody up for success. If you are ready to take on all of the energy that is Estrella, you want to make her part of your family, Go to visit fcac.as.me to begin that process. Our next dog is Moon, and Moon is a dog that has been returned to us after an adoption. She's one of several on the adoption floor that's happened to recently, and she's still a relatively young dog. She's about a year old, and we have her down as a lab mix, but because of the environment that she came from, we actually know her full mix. Her mom was a black lab, and her dad was a Catahoula leopard dog. So we know them. If you watch the show, you have seen probably many of Moon's siblings, maybe her parents on our show in the past, because she came from a hoarding case last year. All of the other animals have since been adopted or placed with rescue, and Moon got adopted but was brought back because she wasn't really doing well in the household. So we're looking for another family for her. She can be a little bit nervous at first. It definitely takes her some time to warm up to new people, new places, but every day she's getting more and more confident as she's interacting with our staff and volunteers again. We're working on, making sure that she's engaging in play, and getting her some dog-to-dog socialization, because she came from a home where there were like 8 dogs. She's used to being around a lot of other dogs, and that's something that is really helping her to grow in her confidence as well. She was in foster care for a period of time with someone from our staff. So not only does she do well with other dogs, but she has lived with other cats, which can be an asset, obviously. So, she's going to be fine with whatever animals you might have in your household, as long as you have taken the time to properly introduce them. You don't want to just toss them together. She really enjoys playing with toys, but she is still a dog that you kind of want to treat almost like a puppy in a way. In her socialization, we were talking earlier about she's afraid of the shift door, the guillotine door in her kennel. So there's a lot of things that still make her nervous, and so she really needs to be exposed to a lot of different things and shown that they can be positive. You show her something, and then you give her a treat. So she's like, oh, that noise or that sound or that sight or whatever is something positive because it brings me food. So that she learns that things in the world are good and not necessarily scary. She does have quite a few restrictions in that she's another one of those dogs that we don't want her to be around small children, just because of the nervousness and things like that. We're also looking for an experienced dog owner to make her part of their family, so that they understand her needs and can provide the training and the things that she's going to need to really blossom in a loving household.
So Moon has somewhat of a unique requirement that we don't often ask of our adopters. What's that?
Moon has to be adopted into a family with an existing dog. She does so much better when she has another dog around to feed off of. That gives her confidence. It gives her a friend to support, somebody that she can follow their lead. They're telling her, hey, this is safe, you can do this. She enjoys the play and that interaction with the other dog. And because she does so much better with that, we're setting her up for success by requiring her to go to a home with an existing dog. So the meet and greets will be required, as is the norm. But if you don't have an existing dog, even if you think Moon is a great size, you like how she looks, we won't adopt her out to a family that doesn't have a pet. We want to make sure that she has the things that she needs to feel safe. So if you have that existing dog at home and you want to make Moon part of your family, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to book that appointment to meet her. We had a bit of an all-girls show, but we are ending with one of our guys. This is Salvatore, also being called Sal lately, which I think suits him a little bit better because he's not super exotic or refined. He's just your typical goofy coonhound. He's a little bit loud. He's a little bit excited. Very interested in sniffing everything. He is 100% a hound, right? Like, that's just what he is. There are people who love hounds, people who not so much. But if you're a hound person, you'll probably really love him because he's all hounds. When you're thinking about hounds, though, you want to make sure that you don't say live in an apartment, because hounds are a little loud. So he's better suited for, a home where he can do that. He obviously loves to sniff, so you want to be mindful about things like, is your fence secure? Because hounds will follow their nose. So you want to make sure that there's not anywhere for him to follow a squirrel out of your yard, things like that. Leashes and long lines are always great if you don't have a fenced yard where you can have them out. But as you can see, he does need to work on some of his basic manners. He does know a sit and understand that he should sit for good things, but sometimes his impulse control is a little bit lacking. So when we do our adoption interviews, we typically go over things that can help with that. But just, getting him in a structured routine is going to be very, very helpful. Sometimes they go through periods here where they get a little bit more exercise, a little bit less. He is coming off a period of time where he couldn't have as much exercise. So hopefully once he's in a home environment, he's going to get a lot more activity. Some of the zoomy energy will kind of dissipate. Everybody always says a tired dog is a happy dog, and that is a saying for a reason. The more exercise they get, the more relaxed they're going to be, the much calmer they're going to be. So it's a really good thing to have. He's not a young dog, you might assume from his energy level. He is about 3 to 4 years old, but he does seem to do well with the other dogs. Again, needs to work on things like leash walking, stuff like that. But definitely is going to need a lot of exercise as well.
So Sal was recently unavailable for a few weeks. Why was that?
So we talk a lot about how our cats can get upper respiratory infections, but dogs can also get kennel cough. And Sal recently had kennel cough. So for about 3 weeks, he was off getting medication. We wanted to prevent the spread of that to the other dogs in the facility. So he wasn't able to get out as much. And he's recently finished all of his medication. He's doing 100% better and is now ready for, volunteers to come and take him out and run him around in the play yard and ready for adopters to come and meet with him. It's not ideal to have a situation where a high energy dog like this can't get the exercise that he needs, but we want to make sure that we're keeping him and all the other animals healthy. So he's a little bit isolated, couldn't get out as much. So now that that's complete, he's ready to go. And if you think that he is the perfect match for the energy level of your households, and you enjoy a good conversationalist, then you can go to visit fcac.as.me to book an appointment to meet with Sal. We hope you enjoyed meeting all of our ladies and our guy today. As spring is coming in, our adoption floors are filling up. So if you didn't see something that you're interested in today, definitely make an appointment anyway. There are a variety of other dogs, cats, small animals, all here looking for forever homes at Frederick County Animal Control. Thanks for watching.